Last week, the princesses went to the circus. This time they are, I want to say eating hamburgers, but that's really dark when we're playing against the Clarabelle list, but let's go with it. So I'm playing my Supportive Girlfriends deck still, trying to refine the list. This week, instead of playing against Blurple, because I got enough of that in, I played against the other control deck that is dominating the format, which is the Clarabelle Under the Sea. Clarabelle Under the Sea is a really strong list. It has exactly what control wants, which is a good amount of card draw and a good amount of answers. And I wanted to be able to get a different test in with Supportive Girlfriends, but still play against those tough control lists. So how did it fare? Well, I'm going to show you a match where I won, but for this one here, there were like 2 matches off camera. I didn't win, so you're going to get to see some great examples of how this deck can perform into these controllers, but bear in mind, there is still some tweaking that needs to be done in order to give it that 50-50 win rate that I really want. So let's go look at the list for Supportive Girlfriends first, then we'll take a quick peek at the Clarabelle one, then we'll go into some gameplay. All right, here is my Supportive Girlfriends list. This is, I think, like version 2 or 3, but it's the first one, I think it's the second one that I've officially actually posted out there. It is unchanged from last week, so if you want to watch my video from last week to get a better explanation for all of the working pieces in these deck, it's up there on YouTube somewhere. But this is kind of my deck as it is right now. I do have some thoughts on it, and I do have some ways that I would want to change it. But for the gameplay that you are about to see, this is what I was working with. As far as standout cards go, Aurora is great. Not just the Aurora that gets me my princesses in at a discount, though she is amazing. Also the Aurora that wards my characters, especially in a deck like this Under the Sea one. Having 1 Aurora or 2 Aurora would be great because it stops things like John Silver from giving my characters Reckless, but it also stops like the bouncing mechanics and all that stuff. Only Aurora can be targeted, and if you have 2 Auroras, absolutely nothing can be targeted. And I played a game where I had 2 Auroras out, and it really did just kind of like mean that it was my game, which was awesome. I loved it. The other cards that are kind of stand out here are the Ludwig. Being able to take a non-character card from your opponent's hand is really crucial in decks like this. You might think the logical one is Under the Sea. A lot of the times that's what you want to get. But when it comes to big decks like Under the Sea and Blurple, wow, shouldn't have blanked on that one. Under the Sea and Blurple, taking their ramp is also phenomenal because if they have to slowly get up to the level of ink that they want to be able to play their things, it really does stall their game out. So both are pretty viable options, although most often in this, Under the Sea is kind of what I'm leaning towards. Other cards that I really like in this are obviously Mini Sweetheart Princess. She was my inspiration for the deck, and then the World's Greatest Criminal Mind, as it gets things that are readied when Mini only gets things that are exerted. Mulan is like the best card draw in the deck, as she does look 4 deep for a princess. And the Queen's Censor Core is great for passive lore gain, but also when you're on top deck mode, she can get you some cards. The cards that I'm wishing I had more of in this deck are Queen's Censor Core and Kita. Kita feels great. I mean, being able to ink off of her, but also be able to pick which card I want on top is awesome. And what's even better is if I can ink that non-princess card and then exert the Censor Core, I know for sure if there's a princess card there, and it would go to my hand. Those are my gists, I guess, on that. That's my thoughts on this deck, specifically when it goes into Under the Sea, or my Cole's nose for it. So let's go take a look at Under the Sea, then we'll get into some gameplay. All right, we got Under the Sea right here. So this is a pretty stock list. It's a list that I had from a little while ago. I probably have to update it, but all of the big hitters should be in here right now. Clarabelle is the best card in this deck, I would say. In fact, it's probably one of the big reasons to play Emerald. The fact that she can draw you cards at the end of your turn equal to the amount of cards in your opponent's hand is great if your opponent is drawing lots of cards, and Control does. So in any like either like Mir or a Blurple match, you're guaranteed to be able to, or you really should be drawing a lot of extra cards with this. However, if you don't have, if your opponent is just going to burn through their hand like they should if they know that you're playing Clarabelle, you can also bounce things back to their hand with cards like You're Welcome or Basil, and then that lets you be able to draw more cards as well. This is a very strong deck. I absolutely hate Bend in My Will. I really, really hate, especially with my deck right now where I'm playing like a bunch of 5-drops. I hate hitting turn like 5 or 6 and be like, oh sweet, I can play my 5-drops now. And then having Bend My Will just make them all go away. It is not fun, but it's a good strong card, and that's why it's not fun. So this is the gist of the two decks that we're playing. We'll show you some gameplay, and then I've definitely got some thoughts on how I want to edit supportive girlfriends, and we'll go into that after the gameplay. Game 1. So I am starting on the play, and I'm going to lead with my ideal turn 1 play here, which is playing an Aurora. So Aurora gets me all of my princess discounts, and in a princess heavy list, that's a lot of potential princesses to get 1 ink off of. I followed up with a Ludwig, and I get to see that he's got a couple different options in his hand. So he's got a You're Welcome and a 2 Sail the Azurite Sea. The reason I'm getting rid of the You're Welcome as opposed to the Sail the Azurite Sea is he's already got 2 ramp choices in his hand. It's not like getting rid of 1 is going to stop him from ramping. I play as many stuff as I can, and I'm going to get ahead on my characters there by getting a mini in on turn 3 thanks to the Aurora. So the idea here is to be able to play as much stuff as possible and know that Under the Sea is coming. Josh's game here was a lot of turns of just kind of ramping and having nothing and being able to give me the early game. Well, this is not an aggro list. It definitely can quest fast if it needs to. And then I played the Aurora there, which gives all of my characters ward. Now, we don't have enough Hades, and Hades is in Blurple, so that's our Hades proxy. So when he plays Hades, Aurora is the only option he can choose. So she goes in the Inkwell, which is fine with me because it leaves me some of my bigger princesses. And I'm sitting here trying to figure out what my math is. So I'm going to quest. He's only got 1 Hades to actually be able to deal with me. And it also means he can't sing Under the Sea. So I want to get as much questing in as possible so that he, before he starts gaining control over the board. So he plays the Clarabelle, which means he's going to be able to start drawing some cards off of me. And he's going to get rid of just one of the little Vanellope's to start kind of cleaning up my stuff there and leave him with characters out on board. I'm doing some math. This is especially playing against Control. It's the type of thing where you really want to be counting their ink, how many singers they have in play, how much lore you have, how much lore they have, and I'm going to quest up to 19 and play a Mulan. So Mulan's kind of important here because she survives Under the Sea. I don't know if he has Under the Sea in the hand. Actually, I can see right there, he does not. But if he had Under the Sea, at the very least, Mulan would survive it. But he is forced to kind of go and do this the hard way and be able to challenge down my characters, which he does. But he can't get rid of that Mulan, and I get game 1 there. Moving on to game 2, Josh gets to be on the play. And he is going to start with a first turn character, which is important. Control wants to have some early turn characters to be able to challenge down the annoying characters like that Aurora I played. And he's going to get to ramp. So that's kind of ideal for him. And it is what it is for me here. I like being on the play, but on the draw does get you the extra cards. So I'm sitting there looking at the cards in my hand and trying to figure out what is important there. I don't have a good play to be able to do. So I am going to quest with the Aurora, and I'm going to play a Belle. It gets me something that's a little bit bigger to be able to fight with, but also can survive the fights. Josh is going to play a Clarabelle. He's got plenty of shift targets there for the Baymax or the Clarabelle, and he's going to double challenge to get rid of my Aurora because that does stop the princess discounts. So just like Blurple needs ramp, just like Under the Sea needs ramp, this deck kind of does need that Aurora to be able to get up to those bigger turn plays, because I played my 3-drop last turn with Aurora. Now I really have nothing in my hand to be able to play on turn 3, that's you know, not bigger than a Vanellope there. So I am really set back here. So I guess this would be kind of a lesson that I'd say for the supportive girlfriends list is it's good to be able to get characters out quick with that Aurora, but at the same time losing her is almost like the Control decks losing their ramp cards. And you want to be able to hold on to her to be able to get you either those crucial discounts at like 4 or 5 ink, or to be able to shift up to if you need to as well. So I did choose to use her there to play the Belle, which I still think is probably not the wrong path there. I didn't have many good options. So being able to sit there with my 2 characters, I don't want a Clarabelle to come out like it just did right there, and to be able to just challenge down my characters, but he's gonna, you're welcome, my Belle. And it is going to give me 2 extra cards, which is great for me, but also not super great because it means Josh is going to load up his hand with 6 fresh cards there. Back to my turn. Lots of options, but not a lot of ink to do things with. I'm going to play the World's Greatest Criminal to get rid of that Clarabelle because it is such a problematic card, and I'm going to quest since there's nothing there to challenge my Vanellope back. Josh is going to play a Bobby, and he's got a mitt full of cards thanks to me, so he's going to be able to deploy a bunch of stuff. So ramping with Pleaky and being able to get a Clarabelle out. In my mind, every time I see one, I know it's a potential shift target, and I do see him filtering through his hand there and that there is another one that's coming out. So it's good to always be aware of that. I'm going to play Mulan. She is one of the options for card draw here. I'm going to quest for 2. I'm so far behind at this point in time that questing for 2 at the very least puts damage on the Clarabelle, or perhaps even makes it so that he has to turn the Clarabelle sideways. And if I get a World's Greatest Criminal in my hand, which I have there, I can kind of trick him into challenging with the Clarabelle so that I can get rid of it with the World's Greatest Criminal. But he doesn't fall for that. He instead is going to challenge my characters with his characters and just kind of hard cast the Clarabelle. I have a bunch of 5-drops in my hands. This is kind of the problem with this deck right here, is it has so many 5-drops that if you get stuck with a bunch of 5-drops in your hand, you could be at the point where you can't really play more than one thing a turn. So you saw there that I didn't want to sing the World's Greatest Criminal, but I didn't want the Clarabelle to stick around. So I had to hard cast the World's Greatest Criminal, and I wasn't able to play anything else. Basil returns my only character back to my hand, and at this point in time, even though Josh is only at 3 lore, I kind of said to him, this is the game, it's done, isn't it? And we both agreed that at this point in time, the supportive girlfriend's deck really couldn't recover from all of the damage that the bouncing and the card draw that the Clarabelle deck had done. And now Josh is in the ideal situation where he can deploy as many characters as he can, start to empty out his hand, and really, really gain control over the board. I play a mini, which will be able to get rid of something, but only if it's sideways or only if I have a support character. Josh just quests, he goes up to 14 and I'm at 4, and you can see how quickly these decks can gain lore. So we just call it there. Josh is clearly going to be the winner of that one, and we're going to go on to game 3. And that is good for me because game 3 is going to start with me on the play, that means, which is 100% where I want to be. We're just going to finish up our mulligans there real quick. Always good to give it a good shuffle. And then I'm going to start with what I love, which is the First Horn Aurora. Josh is going to be able to play a Clarabelle, which is great. I mean, she cannot challenge down and take out my Aurora in one turn, so I'm good with that. And I'm going to quest, and I'm going to play a Mulan to be able to get a bigger character out with the Aurora, while feeling in my mind that Aurora is as safe as she can be with a character out. Josh is going to ramp, which is exactly, again, what this deck wants to do. And there's no point in him turning his Clarabelle sideways because he can't take a character out, and I'm just going to take out his Clarabelle if he does that. I am going to quest with the Aurora to get my Kita out one extra turn early. The Kita will start to get me ramp, and this is a card that I wish I had more of in the deck, and in my next iteration of the deck, I totally will put more in. Josh plays a Baymax to be able to take out the Aurora. Baymax is a nice big card too, so he's a big threat to be able to stick around. And it does make me second guess if I want to actually use my Kita or my Mulan, because they're just going to be taken right out by his Baymax, and it's not going to actually it's not going to take out his Baymax. So he's going to have a Baymax stick around as well, along with being able to clear out some of the key pieces that I have. This is a big thinking moment for me. I lost my ramp too, so I can only play like so I guess I ink, and I could play a 4-drop here, which is what I'm going to do with the mini, and I'm going to set myself up to hopefully be able to get rid of his characters next turn. I play sing a World's Greatest Criminal, and then I'm going to use the Kita's ability, so got rid of that Baymax, which is good, but he can always play some more bigger stuff. The Kita is going to ramp me, which is great, and I get to pick which card I want to put on top. And then Josh is going to shift Clarabelle. He chooses not to use the Clarabelle in this case, because if he turns that Clarabelle sideways, I'm just going to get rid of her. But guess what? I have a World's Greatest Criminal, so I get rid of her anyways. So this is kind of the turning point for decks like Control versus really anything else. If you are able to empty out Control's resources, so get rid of their characters like their Baymaxes or their Clarabelles, get rid of their card draw engines, and be able to keep your characters around, you can really push them out of the game and be able to push yourself forward. So John Silver is a problem here because it's going to make my characters have to challenge instead. But I do have some tricky things to be able to do. And I do have a backup mini to be able to get rid of him, which is great. And he's gonna, you're welcome to get rid of the target there. And I'm going to draw the 2 cards from the you're welcome and the 1 card from the turn. So I quest the mini, just get rid of that John Silver right away as a card I really dislike being seen and played against me. And I play a Alice and a Clarabelle. I use the Kita's ability. I don't quest with her because I want to make sure that I'm setting myself up as much as possible. It's not all about racing to the finish line. It's about making sure you can actually get there, and being able to set up your draws is important. Doing some math here, and I'm going to support. So I support the Clarabelle, getting an additional +1 because of the Mulan, and that gets rid of it with the World's Greatest Criminal. I'm going to quest out, gives Alice a huge bonus, and that is me taking it in 3 with the princesses. All right, so this was one match out of a bunch that we played, and lucky for me, I caught the one that the princesses won on camera, so I can show you that it can hold its own against these control matches. But I will tell you that based on my testing off camera, that is not the easiest match by far. Under the Sea is a strong match to play in against because that Clarabelle gains so many cards, and we're not necessarily the type of aggro deck that just empties it. Actually, we're not any aggro deck, but this is not the type of deck that empties out its hand and just kind of lives off the top of its deck. We do want to have options in our hand, and cards like Mulan or the Sensor Core are going to gain us cards, which means there's typically something for our opponent to draw cards off of. With that in mind, though, let's go over what I think of my current build of the deck, especially with also the thought process in mind here that I've really played against a lot of control decks lately. So while removing like the Fight Club decks and the aggro decks from the equation, what do I think about this list when it comes to control? So I'll put my list up here again. So this is kind of what the list is. Like I said, edits that I would make is that I would put in more Queen Sensor Cores. It gains the passive lore, which is fantastic. It means I don't have to be exposing my characters by turning them sideways in order to actually be gaining lore. It also means that with a princess heavy build, I can be drawing cards a little bit more often, which gives me my choice. So I draw my card from the turn. I can exert it and pay 2 to draw a card from the Sensor Core, and I have 2 options to be able to figure out what I want to play, or sometimes I have 2 cards to play now. So that feels nice and good. Other cards that I would definitely want to increase in this list would be Kita. Kita is just, every time I've played her, she feels like she's a game changer, and it feels like she's such a shame right now that it's only at 2. The fact that she looks at 2 and you ink 1 and 1 goes on top means that you can kind of filter your draws a little bit better. You can pick the best card that is coming up, but you also ramp ahead a little bit more. So there's a lot of 4 and 5 drops in this list. Though I didn't put your traditional ramp in it, having a little bit of ramp in it to be able to the point where you can play more than 1 card a turn would be great. And Kita would help you get there. She also sets up the Sensor Core. So if you use the Kita's ability there to be able to look at the top 2 cards, put 1 into your inkwell, put a princess on top, you can then exert the Sensor Core to be able to draw that princess, which again helps you just get things into your hand. I like this Snow White that can't be challenged. I think that with Under the Sea, she's not a great card, but definitely against Blurple, she did feel good. So I can see increasing her because she has felt pretty awesome when I played her. Cards I would cut, I guess, to make room for these cards would be the Clarabelle that's in here. I don't mean to cut her out completely, but I don't think she should be a 4 in the list. She doesn't really synergize with the princesses. Someone said that this Clarabelle could be like the press following the princesses around, and I love that, but I don't need 4 press members. So I can see cutting down her to be able to increase on some of those other cards. The Beast as well, I'm going back and forth. There are some instances where I'm like, this beast feels great and he feels great in multiples, and my princesses can just go kick butt and like challenge things. Or like it makes the difference on Alice being able to quest for 5 sometimes. So I really like the beast. But at the same time, I've been stuck with him and Aurora and Mulan in my hand more times than I'd like to count. And he's always the last one that I want to play. So the beast might be cut down to 2. But again, jury's still out on that one. Ludwig I can see increasing because being able to go up on Ludwig to be able to have more chances to interrupt my opponent's hand would be great. And he's my only uninkable in the list, so it's not like I'm worried about my uninkable count. Last one I got some comments on here is the Queen. I just really haven't used her. And I really haven't used her because I never really have enough kind of low value princesses in my hand to be able to discard to get her back or to get things back with her. So I can see cutting her out. She does have support, which is great. She only quests for 1. She has a 2/4, so she survives a good amount. So there's still some arguments for keeping the Queen in. But there's also arguments for removing her if I need space for other things. So that's my gist on this. I think I need some more low costed stuff, some more like 1, 2, 3 costed stuff, because there's so many times where I just have mono 5 drops in my hand. And they're great and they're powerful cards, but I need to be able to play more than one thing a turn, a lot of turns, and it would be nice to be able to have some options. I'll post some more edits to this list. I know with Whispers in the Well coming out, that we might get new cards for this list soon, which is always exciting. But for now, this is the fabled version of Supportive Girlfriends, and I guess we'll see where our girlfriends go next.